Today we're going to talk about adding beads to wool appliqué. To work a beaded coral stitch, begin by threading your needle with a single strand of embroidery floss or strong thread. Bring the needle up from the back of the fabric at the starting point of your stitch line. At this point, you can add a bead or create your first knot. If adding a bead, slide a bead down the thread. Hold the bead in place with your thumb and insert the needle back into the fabric a short distance away, without pulling the thread all the way through. Bring the needle back up just beyond the bead, passing over the working thread to create the small anchoring stitch. Gently pull the thread through so the bead settles at the end of the stitch, snug but not tight. Repeat this process along your design line, keeping the stitches relaxed and adjusting any bead that twists before tightening. When choosing beads for wool appliqué, seed beads are our favorite. Sizes 11/0 and 8/0 are the sweet spot. Size 11/0 beads are delicate and subtle, while 8/0 beads have just a little more presence. Try to avoid anything smaller than 15/0, as those beads are very difficult to control on wool. In this video, 11/0 seed beads are used. Glass beads work beautifully with wool, especially matte, pearl, frosted, or translucent finishes. Thread choice matters when you're beading. You want something strong and thin, so the bead sits flat and the stitches stay secure. Using the right thread helps prevent wobbling beads and puckered fabric. Now let's talk about needles. A beading needle is long, very thin, and slightly flexible. It's designed to pass easily through the small holes of seed beads and allows the bead to sit flat against the fabric with nearly invisible stitches. A straw needle is long, straight, and sturdier than a beading needle, with a longer eye that's easy to thread. It works well for heavier fabrics or beads with larger holes when you need more strength and control. You can also use a short milliner size 11, which is what is used in this video. Good needle choices include beading needles in sizes 10 to 12, or sharps in size 10 or 11 if the bead holes allow. If your needle struggles to pass through a bead, don't force it. Switch needles or choose a different bead instead. To add a bead to a chain stitch, begin by bringing your needle up at the starting point of the stitch line. Slide a bead onto the needle and down the thread. Insert the needle back into the same hole you came up through, creating a small loop, but do not pull the thread tight. Bring the needle up a short distance ahead along your line, passing through the loop to form the chain stitch. Gently pull the thread until the loop settles and the bead sits neatly at the base or center of the chain. Continue stitching in this way, adding a bead to each stitch or spacing them as desired, keeping the tension relaxed so the chain remains soft and even. Beads should always be added at the very end of your project. Make sure all wool pieces are appliqued, all embroidery is finished, and the block is pressed and squared. Beads go on last. This prevents distortion and helps protect them from being crushed. When adding multiple beads, such as snow, clusters, or decorative lines, always attach one bead at a time and anchor each bead individually. Avoid stringing multiple beads and couching them down, as they will sag on wool over time. Tension is everything when working with beads. If the stitches are too loose, beads will wobble, catch on thread, and look sloppy. If the stitches are too tight, the fabric will pucker and the block can warp. The goal is for the bead to sit flat and still while the fabric remains smooth. After every few beads, gently smooth the block with your hand to check the tension. When knotting and securing, use small, tight knots and sink them into the wool backing whenever possible. To attach a single bead, bring your needle up from the back of the block, string one bead, then take the needle back down very close to where it came up. For extra security, bring the needle up again and pass through the bead once more. Knot on the back after several beads, rather than after each one. This keeps the beads snug without puckering the fabric. Avoid knotting on the front between beads, and keep your traveling threads neat on the back without jumping long distances. Good anchoring helps prevent a chain reaction if a bead ever breaks in the future.